Ever feel like you're living in a sci-fi movie? Self-driving cars. Uh, they're everywhere these days.
Right?
It's wild, and it's all thanks to AI, which, well, it's having a moment, wouldn't you say?
It really is.
But here's the thing. AI isn't exactly brand new. Ready for a little surprise?
Okay.
We're about to take a deep dive into the world of AI, and believe it or not, the journey starts way further back than you might think.
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the hype. But AI has been quietly working its magic for decades.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Think back to, like, the 1980s. All those futuristic movies. Turns out some of that tech wasn't so far-fetched after all.
Okay, so walk me through this. What were some of those early AI wins that, honestly, most of us just don't even think twice about today?
Well, think about a time before you could just, like, check your bank balance online. Remember those little slips of paper?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Banks were already using early AI systems back then to flag unusual transactions and prevent fraud. It's like having a silent guardian, protecting your account 24/7, even before the internet made everything so instant.
Wow. So AI has been saving us from credit card headaches for longer than I even realized. That's actually pretty impressive. But if it's been around for so long, why is everyone suddenly making such a big deal about AI now?
Well, imagine this. What if that fraud detection system didn't just flag suspicious transactions, but could actually analyze your spending habits, predict, like, potential financial risks, even give you personalized advice? That's the thing about AI. It's not static. It's constantly evolving, becoming more sophisticated. It's moving from those simple tasks to, like, much more complex problem solving.
So we've gone from AI that can spot a dodgy transaction to AI that could potentially manage our entire financial portfolio. That's a pretty big leap.
Exactly. And that's where those levels of AI come in. Narrow, general, and super. Think of it like climbing a technological ladder.
Okay, so break it down for me. What are these different levels and where are we now on that ladder?
Let's start with narrow AI, which is what we've been talking about so far. It's like a specialist, really. Good at one specific task, whether that's filtering spam emails, recommending products you might like, or even helping doctors diagnose diseases. It's already incredibly powerful, and honestly, it's integrated into so many aspects of our lives already.
So neuro AI is already everywhere, quietly making things run smoother behind the scenes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What about the next rung on the ladder, then?
General AI is where things get really interesting and a little sci-fi-esque. This is the kind of AI that has the potential to think like a human, with the ability to learn, adapt, and apply knowledge across a wide range of tasks. Think like problem solving, abstract thinking, even creativity.
So basically, general AI is the ultimate goal, creating machines that can truly mimic human intelligence. Precisely. And while it's something researchers are working towards, we're not quite there yet. There's still a lot we don't understand about how the human brain works, let alone how to, like, replicate it.
So general AI is still on the horizon. Gotcha. What about super AI? That sounds a little intimidating, to be honest.
Now, super AI is where things get really interesting
Mm-hmm.
and potentially a bit unsettling for some. This is the level where AI surpasses human intelligence, becoming capable of things we can barely even imagine.
Okay, so we've covered the past with AI quietly shaping the world behind the scenes, and we've touched on the future with the potential for incredibly advanced AI. But let's bring it back to the present. How is AI directly impacting our lives right now? What's the real world impact that we're already seeing?
That's the thing about AI. It's not just some abstract concept or a futuristic fantasy. It's already deeply interwoven with our everyday lives, often in ways we don't even realize.
Well, since we're all about uncovering those hidden gems of knowledge here, let's dive into some specific examples. What are some of the areas where AI is already making its presence known?
Let's start with something that's, like, universally relevant.
Yeah.
Healthcare. We're talking about AI analyzing data from, say, wearable fitness trackers, like your smartwatch, to provide personalized health advice based on your actual activity levels and biometrics.
Hold on. So you're telling me my smartwatch could soon be giving me personalized health tips based on, like, my sleep patterns and activity levels?
It's definitely a glimpse into the future of personalized medicine. And it goes beyond just wearables. AI is being used to analyze medical images, assist with diagnoses, even personalized treatment plans based on a patient's genetic makeup.
That's huge for anyone dealing with a health issue. It sounds like AI is poised to revolutionize how we approach healthcare. But what about something a little closer to home for most people, like our wallets? Does AI play a role in the world of finance?
It does, and this is a big one, especially for anyone with a 401k or investments. AI-managed investment funds are becoming increasingly common. Imagine having an AI assistant analyzing market trends and making investment decisions on your behalf.
That's really interesting. But handing over control of my investments to an algorithm, it feels, I don't know, a little strange to think about, to be honest. Could you tell me more about how that works and like what the benefits are?
Of course. These AI-powered funds use complex algorithms to analyze massive amounts of financial data, identify trends, and make investment decisions, all at a speed and scale that humans just can't match.
So it's like having a superpowered stockbroker working 24/7.
In a way, yes.
Sign me up. But seriously, are there any risks involved?
Well, it's important to remember that all investments carry some inherent risk, regardless of whether they're managed by a human or an AI.
Oh,
One of the concerns is the potential for bias in the data these systems are trained on, which could lead to biased investment decisions.
that makes sense. We talked about how AI is changing healthcare and finance, but there's another big one that always comes up, jobs. People are worried about robots taking over, right?
Absolutely, and it's a valid concern. However, it's not as simple as, robots just replacing humans.
So what's the real story when it comes to AI and the future of work?
While it's true that AI will likely automate certain tasks and roles, it's also creating new opportunities. It's more about a shift in the job market rather than a complete takeover by robots.
So instead of fearing AI, we should be thinking about how to adapt and thrive alongside it.
Exactly. It's about focusing on skills that AI struggles with, like creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence. These are areas where humans have a distinct advantage, at least for now.
That's a really important point. So it seems like the key takeaway here is that AI isn't inherently good or bad, but it's up to us to understand its capabilities, its limitations, and how we can harness its potential responsibly.
Absolutely. And speaking of responsible AI development, there are some important ethical considerations that we need to address as AI becomes even more integrated into our lives.
That's a great point, and it's something we should definitely delve into further. Ethical considerations with AI. That feels like a whole other deep dive waiting to happen. Where do we even begin unpacking something that big?
You're right, it's a vast and complex topic.
Yeah.
But it all comes back to this. As AI systems become more powerful, more autonomous, we have to think critically about the values we're embedding in them and, of course, the potential consequences of those choices.
So it's not just about what AI can do, but what it should do.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Take, for example, autonomous vehicles, which, well, they're already being tested on roads today.
They are.
How should an AI system be programmed to make decisions, say, in an unavoidable accident? Should it prioritize the safety of its passengers above all else, even if it means harming pedestrians? These are complex ethical dilemmas that, well, we need to grapple with as a society.
That's a great example. It's easy to get caught up in the cool factor of the technology, but we can't shy away from the tough questions, about potential risks, unintended consequences. It's like that old saying, just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Exactly. And these ethical considerations aren't just limited to things like self-driving cars, right?
Mhm.
They extend to all areas where AI is being deployed, from healthcare to criminal justice to even the military.
Speaking of the military, the article we're looking at today touched on AI-powered military technologies, and it sounds like that's a particularly sensitive area when it comes to ethical concerns, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. AI is already being used for things like target identification and drone operations. And as you can imagine, there are significant concerns about the potential for AI to escalate conflicts or even lead to unintended casualties.
It's a lot to wrap your head around. On the one hand, we have the potential for AI to, solve some of the world's biggest problems. But on the other hand, there's this risk of unintended consequences, especially if these powerful technologies end up in the wrong hands.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's a double-edged sword. And the responsibility lies with us as a society to have open and honest conversations about how to ensure that AI is developed and used ethically.
It's a lot to consider. Before we get too overwhelmed, maybe we can shift gears a bit and talk about something a little more, well, lighthearted. One of the things that fascinates me about AI is how it's changing the way we consume and interact with information.
That's an interesting point. We're already seeing the impact of AI on things like, oh, I don't know, search engines, social media feeds, even the news we read.
Right. It feels like I'm constantly bombarded with information these days. It's almost impossible to keep up. Is AI contributing to this information overload, or can it actually help us navigate it more effectively?
That's a great question. And the answer is, well, it can do both. On the one hand, AI is powering those recommendation algorithms that can sometimes, trap us in echo chambers, showing us more of what we already know and agree with.
It's like that saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product.
Exactly. But here's the thing. AI can also be used to break us out of those echo chambers by helping us discover new perspectives and even challenge our own biases.
That's encouraging to hear. So how can we make sure that AI is being used to connect us with diverse perspectives rather than just like reinforcing our existing beliefs?
It all comes back to being mindful and critical consumers of information. Don't just passively scroll through your social media feeds or accept everything you read online at face value. Take the time to seek out different sources, challenge your own assumptions, and engage in thoughtful discussions with people who hold different viewpoints.
It's about taking ownership of our own information consumption and not just letting algorithms dictate what we see and think.
Precisely. And that's something that's more important now than ever before in this age of information overload and AI-driven algorithms.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. The ethical dilemmas, the impact on jobs, the way AI is shaping our relationship with information. It's clear that AI is a powerful force that's, transforming the world as we know it. But I'm curious, from your perspective, what's the most important thing for people to understand about AI?
That's a big question. If I had to choose one thing, it would be this. AI is not some separate entity, some futuristic being that's going to come and take over the world. It's a tool, a technology that we're creating and shaping. And as with any powerful tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
So the future of AI is not predetermined. It's up to us to decide how we want to use this technology and what kind of world we want to create with it.
Exactly. It's about being informed, being engaged, and being proactive in shaping the future of AI. We're not just passive bystanders in this technological revolution. We're active participants.
I like that. It's empowering to think that we have a voice and a role to play in shaping the future of something as significant as AI.
Absolutely. And that sense of agency and responsibility is something we need to carry with us as we continue to explore the vast potential and the very real risks of this transformative technology.
That's a great point to end on. It's been fascinating really delving into the world of AI with you today, but we're running out of time for today's deep dive. What are your final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
Well, we've talked about the past, present, and future of AI, but if you're looking for a single mind-blowing thought to leave you with, how about this? What happens when AI surpasses us not just in, say, logic and problem solving, but in creativity too? What happens when AI can write a symphony that moves us to tears? Or paint a masterpiece that takes our breath away?
Wow, that's a question that really makes you think, isn't it? AI creating art that rivals, human expression. It's exciting.
It is.
And a little bit daunting to imagine, to be honest.
It is, isn't it? It makes you wonder about the very nature of creativity and consciousness.
Right.
If a machine can evoke emotions through art, does that mean it truly, understands those emotions?
That's a question philosophers have been wrestling with for centuries. It seems like every advancement in AI brings up, honestly, more questions than answers. But maybe that's part of what makes it so fascinating. It constantly pushes us to reconsider what it means to be human.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that even as we marvel at the capabilities of AI, there are certain aspects of the human experience that remain, well, uniquely human, at least for now.
For now, indeed. Well, I have to say, diving into the world of AI with you has been a real eye-opener. It's clear that this technology is not just changing the world around us, it's challenging our perceptions, pushing us to think differently about, well, our place in the world.
I couldn't agree more. The future of AI is, well, it's full of possibilities. And it's a future that we're all shaping, whether we realize it or not.
So to wrap things up for our listeners, what's the one key takeaway you hope they walk away with from this deep dive?
Oh, if I had to choose one, it would be this. Stay curious. AI is evolving so rapidly, and it's impacting our lives in, well, countless ways. Don't shy away from learning about it, engaging with it, asking those tough questions about its implications. The more informed we are as individuals and as a society, the better equipped we'll be to navigate the exciting and uncharted waters of the AI revolution.
Beautifully said. And on that note, until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep those minds wide open.